Some other miracles that I've witnessed along finances. There's people that get quite offended when you talk about God trying to heal your finances because they think finances is something that doesn't get healed. I just know that Satan would like to have curses on God's children and somehow hold them there. And I know there's people that say that that cannot happen if they have Christ. I would like for you to sit with me sometimes and look at some of the situations I get into. Because there is still something that the Bible says that when Lazarus came out of the grave, he came out. Jesus told him, Lazarus, come forth. But then he looked at the disciples and said, take all the things that are binding him, all the straps and bands and all that he had, the grave clothes and so forth, and take it off of him. And I believe that is, in part, what God has called me to do, is to bring full deliverance to people like this. Some of the things, like, for instance, I remember one time where I was preaching at it was in some other state that I was preaching. This is documented. And I was preaching, and at the end of the service, the pastor there asked me to pray a prayer of blessing because of seemingly some curses that have been on some of the businesses in that area. And here was a man that struggled. And my understanding was he struggled basically all his life, his adult life, with business. He had struggles and struggles and struggles. There was no finances, And actually, as I was speaking that evening and preaching, he was almost repulsed because he did not like to hear what I was saying. He was raised with a background that faith and miracles are really not for today. But his business was described so well that he decided, I'm going to go up, I'm going to ask for prayer. And he came up and he asked for prayer, and after I prayed for him, he went home. And his testimony to this very day is his business completely changed from that point on, and he became a very prosperous man in that area. It's a tremendous marvel. People still talk about it, the marvel of that incident that night, of where he came from and what he was going through, to how God changed it. It was not anything that you think, well, it just happened. No, this was a supernatural work, because I believe it was the power of the enemy somehow had a stronghold on him and on his business. And after he repented and then was prayed for, it was healed. By his stripes, you were healed.